Hey everyone, it's Pixel Cadet right here. In this video, I would like to give you an update about my 3D printed card game called Cardtapult. For those of you who don't know what Cardtapult is, it's basically this 3D printed card game that I recently developed. And this card game is slightly different from a typical collectible card game where the card is actually printed and you can make it stand upright and turn it into a catapult that you can use to shoot at each other. So this is one of the card. There have been several changes since the last time I made a video about Cardtapult. One of it is this deck box right here. This box can contain 6 cards, several dice, and also particularly this roulette wheel to randomly draw your card. And on top of that, I also managed to finalize a simple game rule to play Cardtapult with. In this video, we will walk through the game rules together, from how to set up the game, the card types, the game mechanics, and the winning condition. And for this walkthrough, I'll be using this 2 deck of Cardtapult card right here. We have the Dragon deck and the Forest deck. Each has different monsters and also different specialties. So without further ado, let's delve deep into Cardtapult. To start, each player will have 6 cards to bring into the game. 1, 2, 3, 6 right here. And the total amount of HP or health points for all 6 cards cannot exceed 20 points. So here we see we have 2, 6, 8, 10, 14, 16. So we have 16 amount of health points in total, which means we are still good to play this combination of card. And then you can insert the cards in whichever order you want into the deck box. So yeah, just place it however you want. Like so. Then we'll set it aside. Each player will be facing each other, and right in front you will have your designated playing field. Your field is basically a free space to place your cards. This is the free space to place your card, and we call it the playing field. And you can only place your cards in 2 rows. It means that you cannot put it in 3 rows, getting it closer to the enemy. So it can only have 2 rows like this. And then the distance between your field and the opponent's field needs to be at least 3 cards height apart. You can measure it easily using your cards, and it needs to be at least 3 cards height apart. So if this is your playing field, then your opponent needs to at least start from here. But to make it even more fun, you can also set the distance even further, and it's going to be harder to aim and shoot. You can also place your deck box beside the playing field, like so. If this is the playing field, you can also place your deck box beside it, and then leave some other space right here as a scrapyard for all your defeated cards. When everything is set up, you can pick whoever goes first, either by doing rock, paper, scissors, or flip the coin. And then, since Cardtapult is essentially a 2-player turn-based game, in your turn you will have action points to spend. The amount of action points per turn depends on how many active cards you have on the field. If you have 0 to 2 active cards on the field, you will have 1 action point per turn. If you have 3 to 5 active cards on the field, you will have 2 action points per turn. And if you can have all 6 cards active on the field, you will have 3 action points per turn. And during your turn, you can do the following actions. First, to draw a card, and it will cost you 1 action point. To draw a card, you need to turn the roulette on your deck box, like so. And then you will pick a card based on the number that is shown on the roulette. Now that it shows 3, it means that I need to pick the card from slot number 3, like so. And then you place it on the playing field inactive. Inactive cards means that it's not standing upright yet, and when a card is inactive, it doesn't do any effect, or it doesn't have any function yet. Also, if an inactive card's getting hit, it doesn't receive damage whatsoever. On top of that, when you draw a card, turn the roulette into certain number, let's say it's 3, and if the corresponding slot is empty, you need to see the arrow above the numbers and pick the next card based on where the direction of the arrow. So if we roll 3 and the slot number 3 is empty, you need to check the arrow, and the arrow is going up. It means that you pick the next card above that number. It means that we pick a card from slot number 4, like so. Another thing you can do during your turn is to activate your card, and it will also cost you 1 action point. To do so, you need to pick one card you want to activate, for instance this one, and all you need to do is to make that card stand upright, like so. During your turn, you can also move a card to another empty space on the field, and it will also cost you 1 action point. To do so, you pick the card that you want to move and you move it to one empty space wherever it is on the field. For instance, I want to move this card right here so that it can aim the opponent in the next turn. All I need to do is just move it onto the empty field. You can only move a card into an empty space on the field, but you cannot swap a position between two cards like so. And lastly, this is the most fun action you can do during your turn. It's to either load and shoot, or just load using your launcher card. Um, Basically, what it means is to load and shoot. First, you need to have a support card that has dice loaded into it. And then to load and shoot, you just need to retrieve the dice from the support card, load it to your designated launcher card, aim and shoot it, like so. If the dice hits the opponent and it doesn't show a critical marks like this, it only deal 1 damage. But if the dice hits the opponent and lands with the critical mark on top, this diamond shape right here, then instead of 1 damage, it will deal a critical damage depending on the launcher card that you used to shoot with. So because it has 3, instead of 1 damage, it actually deal 3 damage to these monsters. And as a way to keep count damage that you dealt, you can also leave the dice behind the opponent card as a damage token. So that was the game rule in a nutshell. Now let's talk about the 3 different card types in Cardtapult. The first one, we have this card right here. It's a launcher card, and as you can see, a launcher card will always have catapult hand like so, and also this symbol right here that signifies the critical damage this card can do. The next card types in Cardtapult is guard card, like so. A guard card will normally have a big build and also a huge amount of HP. And guard card's sole function is to protect the other cards from incoming projectiles. You normally want to place your guard card in the front row, like so, to protect other cards from getting hit. And lastly, we have the support card like this. Support card still has a hole to hold the dice, but it cannot shoot. And also support card doesn't also have the critical damage. And support card main function is to provide dice every turn. What does it mean exactly? When you have a support card on the field and it's active at the beginning of every turn. If the support card doesn't have dice loaded in it yet, you need to pick a dice and load it into the support card like so. And you can only use the dice that is generated from your support card to load and shoot using your launcher card. So make sure to protect your support card at all costs, because if you are out of support card, then there is no way you can attack your opponent. There is also a small additional mechanics that is tied to support card, and that is the following. If you manage to hit your opponent's support card, yeah, like so. If you manage to hit opponent's support card and knock off the dice that it's currently holding, the dice will be taken away, and the support card will need to wait until next turn to load it again. Lastly, since this is a turn-based game and we rely heavily on the action points per turns that we have, we need to make sure to keep as many monsters alive and active as possible. Because, for instance, now each team has 3 active cards on the field. It means that a team have 2 action points to spend each turn. But for instance, if I kill one of the opponent's team's card, like so, and let's assume that this card is dead. Now there are only 2 remaining active cards on the field. It means that starting from the next turn, the opponent will only have 1 action points to spend per turn instead of 2. So I think in this game you have 2 options, whether you want to attack as soon as possible to make sure that your opponent doesn't have enough or like more action points to spend per turn, or you want to ramp up your monsters as fast as possible by having all 5 or 6 active cards on the field so that you have full power and full possibilities to strategize and attack all at once. It's up to you, and I think it's also decided by the type of deck you are using. If you're using this forest card, for instance, although it has a beefy guard card like so that has 4 health points, but most of the other cards has only 2 health points. So if you think it can somehow survive until you have all 6 active cards on the field, then you can try. So, but for instance, the dragon deck right here has more health point per unit, and maybe this is the perfect deck to use if you want to do a ramping up and aim to have all 6 cards active on the field and start barraging your enemies with projectiles. And it's all up to you, I guess, and that's what will make it fun. It's not only depending on your shooting and aiming skill, but also the way you strategize your team during play. So that was it, guys. Please let me know what you think about the game, and if you guys have any questions or input about Cardtapult, please leave it in the comment section below. On top of that, I'm also still designing a lot more cards to come. For instance, I have this card right here that will belong to the dragon deck. I name it Baragon for now. And what's special about this is instead of having one catapult, this monster will have 3. So either you can shoot the dice one by one, all 3, or all 3 at once. Another monster that I'm currently developing for the forest deck, this will be the first launcher card that also has a beefy health point here. So it's almost like a mix between guard card and launcher card. Obviously, there will be more decks to come. There is another deck right here that I'm currently testing. I'm calling it Miasma deck. It has a different type of monsters and also different traits. I still need to test it out, but yeah, there will be more monsters coming, more decks, and hopefully more mechanics to come as well. Anyway, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.